Hello, and thanks for joining me. Well, I'm getting excited about this review. We're going to do a review on the Rebel 17 parts tumbler. Now this tumbler was sent to me by Kingsley North. They're a really good company to work with. And it's specifically designed for metal parts. Now they normally sell rock tumblers and lapidary supplies, but they're just starting to get into this business. It's kind of a niche business. There's not much out there for the small shop. I mean, you can buy these $3,000 55-gallon drum tumblers, but this is meant for small volumes, obviously. But I think it's going to be really useful, and we're going to see what it's going to do. It went together really easy. There was one complaint I had. It had these plastic plastic feet that came on it, and it just about walked off the table when I started it up a while ago. So I bought some rubber feet and put on there, and it seems to be holding really well. But other than that, it seems very well constructed. It went together really, really easy. It's a simple machine. It's got ball bearings for the drum support. So I suspect it'll run for years and years without any issues. I was using a vibrating tumbler. This is a vibrating tumbler I was using. And I don't want to throw them under the bus. This has a good purpose. It's good for shining metal parts. It's used a lot in people that do their own reloading for guns. And I was using walnut shells in it, but I also used a variety of other grits, just experimenting with it. I tried this right here, which is it's ceramic tumbler media. And it worked okay, and I tried it with water. And the problem with this is it's small where it gets in the holes. Like if I was going to tumble this part right here, it would get down in the holes and it would be hard to clean out. But they make another type of media. Let me get it over here. I forget what they call it. It says right here, polyhedron. But they don't get in the holes. They don't fit. So it works pretty good. But anyway, this works. I tumbled or vibrated for probably 2 days, and it still didn't take the rust off a piece of steel. It made it shiny, but I got high hopes for this other tumbler. Okay, got kind of a discrepancy on specs here. But the rock tumbler, the Rebel 17 rock tumbler, is rated for 17 pounds. Probably where the 17 model number comes in. 17 pounds is a lot. I'm going to weigh some parts here and see. There's 4 pounds. These are cut-off tool parts. Some of them have been tumbled in the vibrating tumbler and didn't do too well, and some did okay, but it took like 48 hours to get them that way. So we're going to tumble all these parts, and among these parts I'm going to put some rusty parts and then just cold roll. And I'm going to save a couple out, my cold roll and this other rusty part. And we're going to see what it does, and that's 6 pounds. Now I assume they're including the ceramic media, and that's 11 pounds. Personally, I don't think you'd want to go over 15 pounds, just like Kingsley recommends. So we're going to go with that right there, see what it does. I got a feeling metal parts, because of their odd shape and size, is probably a little better to go. You probably get a better tumbling action with a smaller load. But that's quite a few parts right there. We're going to try that out. Okay, one problem I had with the vibrating tumbler was rust. With water and abrasive, you could tell it was getting the parts deburred and everything, but the parts were starting to rust. So and they didn't look good at all when they were rusted. So you need some kind of rust inhibitor in the liquid, and I went to a company called Kramer Industries. I got some Kramco liquid rust inhibitor. Kramco, that's kind of a silly name, but anyway, it's 2 ounces per gallon, and it's some expensive stuff, but you can see I used that much for a gallon, and the tumbler's probably only going to hold a half a gallon, but I'll put links to all this stuff below in the description. This is a thick rubber line. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. That'd be good to keep it quiet so I don't have to listen to it all night. Okay, Kramer Industry also has some guidelines for using these tumblers. It's a really useful website. I think a lot of it is just trial and error, but they say that the barrel half full with 3 parts media to 2 parts steel parts. So looks like I can fit all this no problem. And then I also bought this from Kingsley. And I checked around for prices, bought some on eBay as a matter of fact, and Kingsley per pound was cheaper. I think this was $35, but it lasts, I think it's a little less than that. It lasts forever. It lasts a long time. But this is 5 pounds, and that's more than enough. In fact, that's exactly the right amount with that amount of parts in there. Kramer Industries guidelines say that you should, if you want really smooth parts, the water should be about even with the top of the media. The water and the rust inhibitor. But if you need it want a more aggressive tumbling, like a quicker results with a slightly less smooth finish, you use less water. So I'm going to go where I'm going to pour this in where I can just barely see it covering the media. That was about a half gallon, so I used about a little over a quart probably. Here's what I got right there. And you put this rubber sheet on. Probably not super critical, but they say to tighten these firmly, but not super tight. This is a stainless drum, so if it did leak, it's not going to rust out. Okay, let's put this on the tumbler and see what it does. Well, it's a little more noisy. Not bad. Not too bad at all. Well, through the magic of video, I'm going to wait about 4 hours and we're going to inspect it and see what it looks like. And I got a feeling we'll probably end up doing it for 8 hours. Well, so far it's not moved, but I put a couple of pieces of wood here. It's only been about 15 minutes. We'll see you in a couple hours. Well, let's see. It's been 6 hours and 15 minutes. Kind of extended that further than I intended to. I got sidetracked prepping the kitchen and hallway for painting. But that's the whole idea of this thing. You can do other things while it's tumbling. So let's see what it looks like. Anticipation, I'm curious. Well, that looks pretty darn good. Tell you what, let me get all this out of here and we'll rinse it off and see what it looks like. I got a plan. I think it's going to work out pretty good. We'll see. Interesting. Looks like they're done. I'm curious what that piece with all the rust on it looks like. That's it right there. Well, it looks good. Rust inhibitor worked great. No sign of rust. That's it. Let me go rinse these off and we'll take a look at them, evaluate them. I rinsed these off with hot water, hoping that the water would evaporate quickly. I think I'll at least blow out the blind holes so they don't rust. Yeah, these look excellent. This was just a little bit over 6 hours. I kind of wish I'd checked them at 4 hours because that might have been adequate. Well, let's take a closer look at these things. There is the before. Before and after. Very smooth corners. Clean. I've noticed a little bit of scratching here and there. And I assume I could put more water in and probably help that a little bit. We could go one step further and put these in walnut shells, and I may try that. Cold roll, it's got kind of a natural, I don't know if I get close enough to that or not to really see that. It's got kind of a pitting to it. It would probably take a lot of tumbling to get rid of all of that pitting on cold rolled steel. But overall, that's a really nice finish. I suspect I need to put oil on these pretty quick, otherwise it's going to flash rust. Totally impressed. That looks great. What do you say? You want to try walnut shells, see what it does? Of course, that depends on how far you want to go with it. I mean, to me, that looks great. But we're going to try the walnut shells just to verify what it'll do. Okay, I've rinsed the tumbler out and kind of superficially dried it. Putting our, in my opinion, finished product in there. We're going to see what it does. I assume walnut shells is about the same, 50%. Now, these are kind of dusty. Probably bad to breathe too. Well, it's a little bit quieter. Kind of makes sense. We'll wait a few hours and through the magic of video, in about 2 seconds, you'll see the results of walnut shells. Well, we're waiting on the walnut shells. I thought I'd rinse that out. I've rinsed them out with hot water. And I'm going to put them in that foil tray there. And put them on the wood stove. If you're doing a lot of tumbling, I would say you could just leave them wet, store them wet, but I don't want them to get all moldy. Okay, it's been about 3 hours in walnut shells. Let's see what this looks like. Wow. It definitely increased the shine. Wow. That's fairly amazing. I liked them just the way they were before, but this is definitely an improvement. Well, if you really want to take your project to the next level, that's the way to do it. That looks outstanding. The walnut shells really brought out the luster in the steel. Here's a before and after, right there and there. And this is before the walnut shells. Not bad, not bad at all. But the walnut shells really make it look nice. Very impressed. The only thing I didn't like about the walnut shells is right there in that gap, I got some walnut shells in there. But probably, yeah, they're coming out with my fingernail there. Take like a feeler gauge or something and knock them out of there. I didn't have any trouble with the walnut shells in here. I took an air gun and they just came right out. So no big deal. But that's one heck of a difference there. Anyway, that about wraps it up for today. I'll put all the links down below. I'm impressed. That's an outstanding job there.